Hey guys, Ms. Strip Matter here. All right, so this is going to be our mini lesson first on FLOR, which is our sustained silent reading time, and over reading responses, which is what we do usually after we do FLOR. After that, you guys are going to go to your Reader's Writer's Notebook. It'll give you all the instructions on the next page and do some of your first entries. So even though we're going over FLOR and reading responses today, we're not going to be using this until tomorrow's warm-up. But if you need to come back to this video to know how to do tomorrow's warm-up, feel free to come check it out again. All right, let's get going here. So FLOR, what the heck is it? Let me see if I can put this in some sort of a presentation mode that'll work for you guys. There we go. Okay, so FLOR stands for the love of reading. I just sometimes call it FLOR. It's basically a fancy name for reading time that we do in class that we take time to do. We usually do FLOR for a minimum of 10 minutes. We do it pretty frequently. We'll talk about that in just a second. But if you guys ever had quiet reading time in elementary or 6th or 7th grade, that's basically what we're doing. So why the heck do we do FLOR? Why would it be important to read every day? It's sort of the same thing of me asking from last week, why do we read? Well, yeah, it's important to read it every day because usually students will say, so we get better vocabulary so we can read better. Excuse me. Yeah, those are really important things. But it's also just for the joy of reading itself. And that's why we got the name For the Love of Reading. I want you guys to be able to discover that joy and the power of that. So last week, we looked at some of these reasons that we read. So just as a really quick review, we do FLOR because reading can change your life. If you guys have ever had a book that just rocked your whole world, I've had 2 in my life that have rocked my whole world. You never really see things quite the same way again. You can tap into unknown or totally unreal worlds. You can travel through time and go different places you've never been before and have experiences outside of what's just right here. It lets you escape your regular life and you can pursue your own education. So find out more about what you want to find out more, whether that's World War II or vampires, zombies, your call. And then finally, and most importantly, in my opinion, it helps extend you as a person, as a human being. It widens your perspective, gives you more experience, and lets you experience the world through different people's eyes. So FLOR, let's talk expectations. When do we do FLOR? We do it most days of the week, almost every day. When we're back in class, we're usually going to start our first 10 minutes with FLOR, or we'll do our last 10 minutes of FLOR. Those of you guys at home, y'all are probably going to be doing this right at the beginning, right before you do your warm-up. Where do we do FLOR? In class, we do FLOR at our desks, or we can, in the past, I've let students move around the room. The trouble is with that, with COVID-19, because of contact tracing, AKA if your seat partner gets sick, we have to know so we can quarantine you. We have to stay in the same spot. But they didn't say that you can't sit on your table or under your table as well as at your table. So I'll let you move around a little bit there. If you're at home, you're going to be doing that in a quiet place or a place that is like your zone. So for some of you guys that might be on your bed, some of y'all that might be behind the couch in the living room, like on the floor, some of y'all that might be at the kitchen table. It's probably not the case because it's always loud there. For me, if I get to pick, I always go outside and I read on a porch or on the steps or under a tree somewhere. So that's the where. What should it look like? It should look like active reading. So it should not be like you on the same page for 10 straight minutes because you've been thinking of something else or because you've had to keep reading the same paragraph again and again because you just can't get into it. If you just can't get into it, chances are you probably either need to take a short break and then come back and refocus, or you might need to get another book if the book you're reading you just can't get into it or it doesn't make sense, right? Active reading does not look like your phone behind your book. And anytime I see you laughing at your book or laughing, looking straight down and your book is in front of you, but you're looking down, also upside down books, but that's only happened once. So active reading is when you're actually following along on the page and you're trying to see in your mind what is happening on the page, like you're making sense of it there. Is it for a grade? Once we're back in the classroom, yes, FLOR is for a grade. I'll explain how that works, those of you guys coming back to the classroom, but I'm not going to bore you with those details right this second, even though they are short. Right now it's for grade 2, but it's totally different how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it by your reading responses, which we're going to talk about next. So reading responses are what you guys are going to do after we read, after you do FLOR. We do not do reading logs. I hated them when I was in school, hated them when I was a kid, and I'm not going to make you guys do those. I'm not going to make you count how many pages you read, and I'm definitely not going to make you guys write book reports or do book summaries. No real reader actually does that. Real readers talk about what happens in books, sure, but it's like the stuff they find interesting. They don't just give a summary of everything that happened. Or they're trying to tell somebody else about how exciting a book is and they should read it too. So we do something called reading responses instead of like reading logs and summaries and book reports. So here's this quote again: reading is like breathing in, writing is like breathing out. Reading is taking in of all the information and making it a part of you, and then breathing out is where you're writing everything down on the page. You're pulling it back out of you after it's passed through your mind and your heart, and sort of giving it your own spin, your own interpretation. We do this because it helps us make that information our own, or make those experiences our own, and lets us sort of just process those and think through what we're experiencing. That's whether you're reading a nonfiction book or whether you're reading a fiction book. And remember, nonfiction is real life, like things that actually have happened, and fiction is fantasy. It's like the fake stuff. I love both. What will it look like? So for your responses, for the timing, we usually write for 2 or 3 minutes max. That's it. Isn't that nice? 2 or 3 minutes. We also call them Quickwrites, as well as reading responses. And expectations are just that you are writing for that full 2 or 3 minutes. Some of my students will do a drawn reading response. Is that okay? Heck yeah. Sketch note reading response? Sure, if that's what floats your boat. If you want to write a poem based on what you read because it gave you these really strong feelings that you feel like you need to get them out, go for it. So the point is, with my responses, you have a lot of freedom. We do something called book, head, heart. So instead of me just saying write a summary, I'm always going to give you guys a lot of choices to choose from of what you want to actually write about after you read. So you get to pick. You could do something really simple, like you could just say, what just happened? What's the story about? What are the characters like? Tell me about the narrator who's telling the story. You could dig a little deeper. Now I've got that song from The Princess and the Frog stuck in my head the rest of the day. You could dig a little bit deeper, give me some deeper answers, talk about things that have surprised you, talk about things you noticed that are going on in your book. What's happening that you noticed? Has the author changed or challenged anything that you think? And then finally, and probably I would say the most important, is in your heart. These are going to be responses you do usually when you get to a really important part of a story, or you get to the very end of a story. And that's going to be, how has the story changed you? How has it made you think more about yourself and in your own life? All right, so let's do a quick write example. We're going to be done with this in like 45 seconds, and then you guys can move on your merry way. So a quick write example, this is what we do. It's a reading response. We do this right after we do FLOR. These will always go in your readers, writers, notebooks. And I'll show you guys how to do that in the next like student work in the next section when you click next. So here's some examples. You get to pick a prompt. You could write about anything that came to mind when you were reading. You could write about what you noticed. You could write about something that surprised you, or just write about what happened in the story so far, or draw a picture, or write a poem. So just because an example is an option's not up there, it doesn't mean you can't do it. So you get to pick. So you'll pick one of those, and then you'll have 2 minutes to do a quick write. Again, this is going to go in your journal. So for a quick write, you'll need to like set a timer on your phone. And I'll go ahead and start mine and just show you guys a really fast example. I'm not going to go for the full 2 minutes. Oh, I can't start it, end it. That's okay. So for example, right now, short quick write. Right now, I just want to remember what I was reading. So I'm reading Harry Potter. Since you guys are watching me, I can't type. And the Order of the Phoenix. Phoenix is a weird word to spell. So if I just want to think about one of those questions, I might pick something I noticed. So I noticed in this book, Harry has been really struggling with his anger. He is also more closed off from his friends, but I'm not sure why. So I would keep typing until the 2 minutes were up. Some of you guys type fast and y'all type slow, but you just want to give me a little bit. I'd probably get another 2 or 3 sentences in there before time is up. All right, that's it. That's Quickwrite, but that goes in your journal. So check out the next page to see how to rock and roll with that. All right, bye guys.